You asked for them and you got them. We have more Henry Stickmin Creepypastas for you. Yes, much excite. But excite, of course, of the scary variety. Prepare to get spooked once more, my fellow gamers, and welcome back. I'm your host, Amanda McKnight, and this is Top 10 Gaming, where we talk about gaming and sometimes the scarier sides of it. Today we'll be taking a look once more at Henry Stickmin, the choose-your-own-adventure games where you make decisions for the protagonist, Henry Stickmin, and help shape him into the stick figure and type of professional you want him to be, and where you also watch him die a bunch. That happens a lot. Join me as we count down the top 10 scary Henry Stickmin Creepypastas Part 2. Now, let's get counting. Number 10. Distraction Death. I never thought I'd encounter something like this when playing the Henry Stickmin games. I don't know if this was just some kind of glitch in Puffball's game or if it was where I got the game from online, but yeah, there was something weird about it, and I don't think it was something that was meant to happen. I'll let you decide. I was playing Fleeing the Complex, but when I selected Distraction Dance, instead of everyone joining me in dancing, they all took out knives and slit their own throats, dropping dead. Henry, instead of reacting, continued to dance on happily. This happened a few more times in the game after. When I looked it up, I noticed the option for Distraction Dance was only supposed to come up once and should not have resulted in such a grisly display of violence. Number 9. Henry the Creep. This is a weird story because it's about a game I love coming into another game that I love, but definitely not in a way that I love. When I was exploring Vault 108 in Fallout, instead of running into the Gary clones and that story, I ran into Henry clones. But Henry as if he were imported into Fallout, making him look far more horrific and far more violent in the case of these clones. I know you can make some pretty freaky looking characters in the Fallout games when you do your character's customization at the beginning, but this was original Fallout and this was an NPC, so I don't know how it happened. I was playing without any mods on, by the way. The Henrys were rail thin but with giant hands and feet. Their hands were also almost claw-like, with giant sausage fingers that narrowed at the tips. All of their heads were huge with tiny little mouths and giant overstretched and bloody eyes, like something out of a horror movie. I killed all the Henrys and immediately got out of there. I haven't played Fallout or Henry Stickmin since. What time is it? Click that like time. Also adventure time. The answer is always adventure time. And you can go on an adventure by heading down to that like and giving it a quick click. Please and thank you. Number 8. Stickminverse. My friend played through the Henry Stickmin games for the first time a few weeks ago and just couldn't stop. She played through every option and played through them multiple times to the point that she almost has all the paths memorized and the whole script for the game committed to memory as well. However, last week she seemingly disappeared. She wasn't at school, she wasn't online, I couldn't get a hold of her. I myself have played the Henry Stickmin games, but I haven't played them for quite a while and decided to revisit them when I was thinking of her the other day and wondering where she was or what she was up to. Something strange happened whenever I played. Instead of it being Ellie in the game, it was a blonde girl with big gray eyes. That looks like my friend, I thought. Then she spoke, and when she spoke she sounded just like her. "Help me, I'm stuck in the game," she cried. I was freaked out. I wanted to help, but I didn't know how to communicate that with her. I still haven't seen her since, other than in the game. Every time she asks for help and every time I don't know what to do. I'm too scared to tell anyone, but I don't know how to get her out of the game by myself or even how she got in there in the first place. Number 7. Diamond Eats You. Something went wrong in this game. I played a modded version where the diamond comes to life after you capture it and you have to fight it. The problem is no matter what option you pick, all the weapons and gadgets you have access to are trying to cut through the diamond, but none of them are strong enough. Diamonds are known for being strong. Duh. Anytime you fail, which is every time, you are forced to watch as the diamond slowly and painfully eats Henry. It takes a minute to watch him die each time, and while all the cutscenes of him doing so are different, they are all still intensely gruesome. Number 6. Hello, Charlie. Henry had always loved the Henry Stickmin games. To say he was obsessed was an understatement. Maybe it was because he had the same name as the protagonist, or maybe it was just because the games were so funny. Who knows? But he loved them. He was going on a trip actually to the Netherlands where they randomly had a Henry Stickmin escape room opening up, and being that he was the #1 fan, he begged his parents to take him, so they planned a vacation in the Netherlands. The plane ride was pretty routine, but as soon as they were up in the air, he noticed he had a message on his phone. It was a text. It read, "Did you need a lift?" and the text appeared to be signed Charlie. He thought it was weird that the text was signed, but paid no mind otherwise. He looked out the window and saw a helicopter in the distance. He thought he saw someone waving at him. His phone buzzed again. This time he was getting a call. How was this possible, he thought. Phones didn't normally work on airplanes. He usually had no signal whatsoever. When he answered, all he could hear was breathing. "Hi Henry, how's it going? What do you need, buddy?" he heard a familiar voice say. He watched as the helicopter seemed to move closer towards them, getting far too close. Everyone else in the plane didn't seem to notice though. He could see the pilot of the helicopter now. His face was sheet white and his eyes were wide. He was on the phone. "I'm the bold action man!" Charlie screamed on the phone before smashing his helicopter into the plane young Henry was on. He never made it to the Netherlands, nor did anyone else on board. Number 5. Summon Them. I downloaded a hacked version of a Henry Stickmin game called Summoning Them. I thought it would be a game about all of Henry's friends coming together for a team heist, but it was not. It was something much darker. In the game you had to gather certain artifacts and jewels, and it ended with a ritualistic sacrifice of Ellie and Charlie, which you were forced to do in order to bring about demonic, godlike beings. The game ends in horror and chaos as you watch Henry have the skin peeled from his bones. Number 4. Eyes That Follow. My whole room is Henry Stickmin. I've even had things I couldn't find custom made just so I could cover my room in everything Henry. Usually when I really like a game, I get my whole room turned into a kind of tribute to it, a celebration of it. One thing I had custom made recently was a picture for my wall. It was a giant heavy framed picture of Henry and the whole crew. My parents apparently ordered it from a custom shop online that they found but never ordered from before. Life paintings? This painting was special, they said, and they were not wrong. One morning I woke up and I thought I saw someone in the corner of my room. I blinked and they were gone. This kept happening every morning to the point that I got my eyes checked. Something else was strange. I was noticing that the characters in my painting seemed to be changing position, making me think at night they left the painting to watch me sleep. My parents, however, thought this was all in my head and didn't notice anything different about their poses in the painting. I have removed the painting from my wall since, and am contemplating what I should do next. Has anyone else experienced anything like this or heard of this company? I can no longer find any trace of them online. Please help. Number 3. Henry Made Me. I live by a correctional facility, aka a prison, and every day on my way to school I walk past it. This has never bothered or scared me until recently. After walking home from school one day, I thought I heard someone shouting my name from one of the distant windows in the prison, but I couldn't quite tell. It's pretty far away. The next day while walking to school, I heard it again. I couldn't quite make out what was being said, but it sounded like my name. On my way home, I was prepared to record it, which I did to help me discern if it was my name or not. I rushed home and uploaded the file, slowed it down, played around with it. It turned out it wasn't my name. My name is Harry, but the name being shouted out was Henry. Henry, 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 get me out of here. I looked it up online and found out in the news there was a man who had recently been imprisoned there who was obsessed with the Henry Stickmin games. He had murdered 4 people during an attempted bank robbery, claiming Henry had made him do it. Number 2. Choose My Own Adventure. My friend fell asleep playing Henry Stickmin, and if there is one thing I can stress from this story, it's that you be careful not to do so. It can not only cause harm to you, but also to other people around you. My friend, we'll call her Olivia, ended up waking up the next day. Everything seemed normal, but she later found out it wasn't. She was forced to make choices like in the game, and everything paused around her. The unfortunate thing is that most of her choices led to someone dying or being dismembered. Eventually, her whole family was dead, and she was the only one left, all because of simple decisions that she had made. She broke down and finally told me this at her little sister's funeral, but apparently I wasn't the only one she told, because she was shortly after taken away to a mental institution. She has since escaped and is considered at large. Number 1. Bag Surprise. My brother loved the Henry Stickmin games. He played them and watched tons of other YouTube gaming personalities play them as well. I never thought these games could cause any kind of problem for him, but then this happened. It's my job to take out the trash every Thursday night. I hate doing it, but it's one of my chores and my parents were nagging me. My brother said he'd take the bag out of the bin for me and replace it so that all I would have to do was tie it up and take it outside. Because my little brother was the best. What I didn't know is that this was all part of his plan. I went to take out the trash and my brother had already gone up to bed. The bag was there, untied, some nasty food on the top that looked pretty expired, so I tied it quickly, not being able to handle the stench. I took the bag out to the trash. I went to bed thinking nothing of it, until the next day, when my brother went missing. Friday is trash day on our street, and it turned out what had happened was, like in the Henry Stickmin games, my brother had hid himself in the bag, had me tie him up in there without knowing, and had gotten thrown in the trash. I had slept in and was only made aware by my parents, who woke me up to tell me my brother was dead and had been crushed to death by a trash compactor. I never cried so hard in my life. Please remember, things you see in a video game should not be attempted in real life. Creating a real-world game experience is not worth dying for. Lots of people choosing scary, it seems, when it comes to Henry Stickmin and these stories. I can't imagine what it would be like to be trapped inside a Henry Stickmin game. Maybe if you choose the right series of options, you'd be able to escape. That would be my thinking. What do you think would be the best strategy there? And what are some of your favorite creepypastas? Did any of these scare you? Let us know in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Gaming, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to keep on gaming on. Pew pew!